Our next speaker, Mr. Shyam Mohan, Vice President, Fintechs and Enablers at MasterCard, speaking on today's topic, Fintech, accelerating payments, innovation, and powering digital ecosystems. Over to you, Shyam.
Great. Thanks, Melvin. And it's good to be here. I hope everyone's been having a great day through this event. Just a quick intro about myself. So I've been at MasterCard for about 8.5 years now, and currently looking at the fintech and enablers vertical. It's a role where we look at how MasterCard can support fintechs better. And we've seen a significant change in the entire payments landscape over the past decade or so, ever since the 2009 crisis. That's when the real fintech boom started. And we've been at the forefront of supporting the fintech ecosystem across markets and helping a lot of the technologists launch platforms riding on our network and our other technology offerings. So, what is it that we think about when we look at the entire ecosystem change, right? We now are in an industry 4.0 revolution where the focus is a lot on how we reimagine value creation. So if you look at how we've been thinking about large changes in technology that has impacted our lives in a significant manner, it was all about with the invention of the steam engine first, and then the 2.0 was about the assembly line approach, where you could start manufacturing things in a rapid manner and at scale, which is essentially what industrial revolution was all about. Then came the whole internet technology boom, and we all know how that has impacted our lives and how that has changed the way we are interacting on a day-to-day basis. But now what we are seeing is a revolution that actually blurs the line between the physical, digital, and biological. And particularly for us in our industry, it's about the blurring of the lines between physical and digital that is driving a lot of new capabilities, new technologies, new solutions. And as you think about today's consumers, they are also expecting things that are completely different from what they were earlier. Majority of them believe that it is easier to simply switch their service provider, and that is something which they are happy to do, because the expectation from a service provider has changed. So people don't stick around if the service is not good enough. They're very easy minded when it comes to deciding that, okay, I've had enough here, let me go somewhere else, right? And then we see that there is a lot of penetration of non-financial services companies offering financial services, and consumers actually willing to adopt them. Earlier, we used to always think about, okay, banks are the store of trust, right? It's not just the store of value, they are the store of trust. But over time, we've seen new providers coming in, whether it's a neobank, a P2P transfer provider, or a cross-border remittance company. And we see that there is more willingness for consumers to actually adopt and work with these new players. And that's, again, an interesting phenomena that has been supported by the change in technology. And we also see that change happening in the core banking business, which is lending, right? So people are willing to go to a non-bank provider for loans or short-term installments. The rise of BNPL is one such example, right? So all of this has led us to understand that consumers are now leading an always-on, digitally enhanced lives, and this is what is facilitating them to, think about new experiences, new expectations from the service provider that they work with. And within MasterCard, this is what we look at. We look at what the emerging trends are. So whether it's AI, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, uh, robotics, quantum computing. So we try and understand what the emerging trends are, and we kind of de-risk it for our customers and convert that into opportunities, which is a list of solutions that we build. So for example, we know that cryptocurrencies is a very, very important thing these days. And we now have a dedicated team focusing on that, trying to understand how we can bring to market solutions built around cryptocurrencies while ensuring that it is in a scalable, feasible, and viable manner, and launching solutions along those lines, right? So this is essentially what we do when we think about payment innovation. We look for what those future signals are. 5G is another example. 5G, we all know, is going to change, the way we do a lot of things, whether it's streaming video or interacting with your bank through a mobile interface, etc. And at Mastercard, we are trying to understand what does that mean, right, when it comes to someone making a payment, whether it is using a mobile device, a card, a QR code, whatever the form factor is, we are trying to understand how can that technology be leveraged in order to offer a solution that is relevant for the future, that is relevant to the consumer needs as they evolve. And that's what we focus on when we think about payment innovation. So the global fintech market, again, we've all seen these stats. It's on a very, very bullish trajectory. It's supposed to be more than $310 billion by next year, but I think it's going to be much more than that. Looking at what has been happening over the past few months with a lot of companies raising humongous investments, but still we know that it's on a massive growth trajectory, right? And for us, it is important to cut through the hype and, as I said earlier, convert some of these signals into tangible opportunities. So how do we do that? I'm going to talk about two things here. Obviously, at Mastercard, we do a lot of activities around this, but I'm going to specifically touch upon two for the sake of this discussion. The first one is we launched a program called Digital First, where we realized that the form factor that consumers are preferring to make a payment is changing. The physical card is now increasingly being replaced by a digital device. And then this debate was there, like even, let's say, 7 to 8 years ago. And at that point in time, it was all about, how long can a phone battery hold up? So is it really trustworthy to put a payment, credential on my phone? But now all that has changed. Again, with improvement and enhancements in technology, we know how easy it is, how convenient it is, how dependable it is. And that's where we designed the whole digital first framework to ensure that when you get a product, a card product, or any other payment product from your bank or your neobank or any other fintech, it's always about a form factor that you are most conveniently able to use. And we build certain guidelines, we build certain product constructs around it to ensure that it's a seamless offering onto your mobile device. Where you request for a card, it comes on your phone, physical becomes optional, right? It's fallen down in the priority list. It just becomes an optional device, and you can start transacting instantly. So you don't have to wait for 3 to 5 days for the card to arrive in courier and go through all the manual processes of signing up, etc. The entire experience can be digitized, and that's the focus for us at Mastercard in rolling out digital first programs across all these markets. And these are driven by five key factors. One is increasing competition. As I said, customer expectations are changing. There is a lot of financial pressure to reduce the cost. And then obviously digital enables a lot of cost savings, right? That's something that we all are aware of. And from a strategy perspective, customers are thinking about digital transformation to get into new segments, to get into new experiences. And that's also what is driving the digital adoption. And of course, the regulatory and tech landscape. So technology obviously has been a major tailwind in adoption of these new solutions, but so have regulatory support ecosystems been as well. And we've seen regulators becoming increasingly forthcoming about understanding new capabilities, trying to realize how it impacts the lives of the consumers. At the same time, making sure that the integrity and safety and security of the system is intact, but there is more willingness to adopt these new solutions and make it available in the market. So that was one. The second part is where we engage with the fintech community to bring in new ideas, right? So we look at the entire fintech world not as, we are all sorted within Mastercard and there's something happening out there. We know that there is a lot of innovation happening in the outside world, and our objective is to bring it to meaningful experiences that we can work together on. And that's where through our startup and fintech engagement program called StartPath, we look at later stage companies that we want to collaborate with across various areas, right? Which is what you see here. So whether it is augmented reality or new forms of acceptance or wearable technologies or Internet of Things, we know that a bunch of innovators are building interesting solutions out there. And for us at Mastercard, it's about finding them and working with them, making sure they get the business opportunity to grow through us as a partner, and we get the opportunity to work with their technology and collaborate and bring new solutions to market. And just a testament of the program, so we've got like more than 250 companies in the alumni network already. And post program, so since they've joined the program, they've gone ahead and raised $3 billion of capital, which is really a strong testament for us to say that we are working with the right candidates, right? So these are really strong companies who bring in value, who create new solutions and are able to deploy and scale. And we are proud to have been part of their journey as they go through this growth trajectory. So essentially, that's basically what I wanted to cover, a quick overview on what we think at Mastercard when it comes to payments innovation. Obviously, each of these points, and there are a lot more which will require deep dive on a dedicated basis. And we have the resources and team to support that. So feel free to reach out to me or through the organizers of this event for any additional information or support that you might be looking for from Mastercard, and we are happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Shyam, for the presentation. So what is the next from Mastercard coming up?
Well, quite a lot, actually. I mean, as I was saying, that list that I showed are all emerging signals that we are seeing, right? So we are specifically focusing a lot of effort on blockchain and cryptocurrency. And we recently launched a dedicated startup engagement program focusing on crypto players. That's a big thing. Open banking, again, is something very, very important for us. So we acquired a company called Finicity last year that is an open banking player. And as Mastercard, we are not really thinking about payments that happen on card rails anymore. We are truly a multi-rail company where we look at card rails as one of the rails on which payment transaction can happen. Open banking is another rail, and we are, again, investing a lot of time and effort on that, building new capabilities around that, because we know that's going to impact the way we do business or make payments in the future. Blockchain is another rail, cross-border remittances and P2P, right? ACH or what do you say? Real-time payments is another rail. So these are all new rails that we've started focusing on over the past few years. And essentially, we realize that the way consumers are expecting things to happen, it's going to be a mix of all of these. So that's what a lot of work is happening in Mastercard around in building these new capabilities and to become a truly multi-rail payment technology company that can address the requirements of any and every payment needs that our consumers and merchants would have.
And as heading fintech and enabling it, what's the future for fintech?
Right. So what we've seen is, again, with the adoption in technology, it's becoming more and more easy for any fintech to launch and grow, right? So building new use cases, building new capabilities has become much more easy than ever, whether it's leveraging cloud technologies or open banking rails. So for us, we see that as an opportunity to understand, right, how new capabilities can be turned on, because we are now looking at niche players coming up more and more. Earlier, it used to be the traditional like issuer acquirer banking system. And now there are a lot of niche players offering very, very specific capabilities that do have potential for scale. So for us, we think that when we think about fintechs and enablers, On one side, it is about end user fintechs, which is your neobanks coming up with new value propositions, very, very specifically focused on, let's say, a gig worker or a youth segment or an SME, right? And we support that. And we also look at fintech enablers who are building technologies and platforms that help in, rolling out new services to end users. And that's also something that we think is going to be a game changer in the future.
Thank you, Shyam, for your time. Any questions from attendees, please do pass it on to me and I'll have Mr. Shyam answer it for us. Thank you, Shyam. Have a nice evening ahead. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And have a good rest of the event. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.